As we just heard, Peter, John, and James are up there on this mountain, Mount Tabor. It's not a big mountain. And they experience something, wow. This guy, this Jesus who we're seeking to follow and who we're putting, our life in his hands, I guess it makes sense. There's something here, And you have to remember that things had not been going well for them. And they were really questioning, should we be doing this? Is this what our lives are about? And they have this, as I said, mountaintop experience. And so they want to stay there, obviously. Peter says, well, let's build 3 tents. It's a way of saying, I don't want this to pass. And how many of us have had in our lives, I'm sure, some of these kind of really great moments when we say, this is what it's about. This is what life is about. And we want to stay there for a long time. We don't want it to pass. But life is not all mountaintop experiences, is it? It wasn't for Peter. It's not for you, me. Sometimes, aren't there doubts, uncertainties, fears to deal with? What's going on? We have to make decisions when nothing seems to make sense at all. Nothing seems clear. Sometimes we wonder, is everything I've learned and I'm trying to do, is it really working? We don't trust. We don't trust what's going on. And we wonder, is life falling apart? And that's when this reading and this event reminds us that coming down from the mountain is a part of our journey of our life as well. Remember what he said when Jesus said, coming down, he said, now don't relate what you've seen until the Son of Man has risen. Jesus is modeling something for Peter and for us here. He's modeling something. He's saying, I want you to think about this. This Mount Tabor, the Mount of the Transfiguration, these high points in our life are only part of our road to, as he says, Jerusalem, all of life. Jesus is following his path to another mountain called Golgotha, where he is crucified. A place that there's going to be difficulties, suffering, sacrifice. But, and this is the important point, this too will lead to his glory, even though they can't understand it. This too leads to real life. And he's asking them and he's asking us to grapple with this, with these hard times that we inevitably come up with, that there's meaning in those and that they lead us to real life. That's true. But it's hard to see, isn't it? We have to have, or we will have in our lives, both of these mountains. The Tabor, the high points, the feel-good points, and the Golgothas, the hard points. We will have them both. And today he's trying to remind us that both, as much as difficult as it seems, as hard as it was for Abraham to trust in God, both of these make sense, are important, and they lead us to what is real and true and important. Christ leads this on this path And as one, he's saying, and at this Lenten time, it gets down to this deep thing. We need to walk this. Sometimes, as I said, he leads us up to great mountains of deep clarity and awareness and peace, and everything is right. And other times, at least my experience, and I think yours, we have to walk in trust, not understanding where it's all going. Times of hurt and pain, but they lead us to something more. Think about in your life. I've been here long enough to know with you, many of you, your high points and your Golgotha points. And having that trust and being with that, they lead us to something better, don't they? But remember this too. When we encounter these hard times, remember the high times. Let them help you. Let them give you moments of clarity, you might say. Let them be reference points, core memories that give us the courage to remain faithful to what is good and right, because that leads us to what is real life, eternal life. But it begins here and now. It's not just be good so you get to heaven. It's right now. It begins even in these deep things. So this is one of those Sundays when it really asks us to think deeply about what's going on in our lives, these Tabor and Golgotha things, and see that they're part of what Christ is calling us, that to trust that this leads us to something great, and that he, as Paul reminds us, walks with us. A little side point to this too. We can and should be giving others the mountaintop experiences. What do I mean? Just simple things sometimes. Stop and compliment someone. Maybe write them a note and say, I'm thankful that I know you. We need those experiences. Give them to each other. So, as I said, this is one of those weekends or this Sundays of Lent that really ask us to think deeply and to ask God to remember, help us in those hard times to remember the mountaintops. He gives us those to bring us to him. God bless you.